Look, I need to get this off my chest because I haven't slept properly in 4 days. And I keep going over it trying to find the rational explanation. Maybe I'm writing it down to convince myself there is one. I drive a vending machine route overnight. Corporate parks, industrial complexes, the kind of buildings that are completely empty between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., except for maybe one security guard who waves at you without looking up from his phone. I've been doing it for 2.5 years. The money's decent, and the solitude used to be something I actually liked about it. You get into this rhythm. Clock in at the depot around 9:30, load the van, and hit the route in the same order every single night. Greenfield Business Park first, then the Mercer Industrial Lot, the Hartley Distribution Warehouse, 2 stops at the Connaught Office Complex on the east side, then the long drive out to Pinnacle Freight, and finally, the Solace Corporate Campus. Same sequence, same faces, same bad lobby coffee from the machine at Connaught that I fix every Tuesday, because somebody always presses B7 by mistake and it jams. Greenfield was always my favorite stop. Low ceilings, long corridors, that particular vending machine hum, that kind of fills the silence without being loud enough to actually distract you. I knew exactly which machine over-dispensed chips, which one had a sticky coin slot, and which hallway light flickered for exactly 3 seconds when the HVAC cycled on. That kind of familiarity is actually comfortable when you're working alone at 2 in the morning. The predictability is the point. So when something doesn't fit the pattern, you notice it. That's all this was at first. Just something that didn't fit. Thursday. Middle of the week, nothing unusual scheduled. I'm at Greenfield, restocking the machine near the side entrance that the cleaning crews use. And there's a man sitting in one of the low lobby chairs near the window. Not staff, no badge, no uniform, no laptop. Just sitting, maybe mid-40s, plain jacket, the kind of face you'd struggle to describe 10 minutes later. He gives me a nod and says, "Rough shift, huh?" I say yeah, and keep working. That was it. Barely registered. Except then, he was at Mercer. The Mercer lot is 12 minutes from Greenfield if you catch the lights. I'm wheeling my dolly across the car park toward the freight entrance, and I see him again, near the far end of the building, leaning against the wall beside a vending alcove. I remember thinking maybe he worked some weird security contractor shift and moved between sites. People do that. I smile. He smiles. Then he asks if I cover the whole area by myself. Yeah, solo route. Because that's not a weird question. That's just conversation. He nods slowly, like I'd confirmed something. Every night? Pretty much. Then he asks what time I usually get to this stop. And I tell him, because why wouldn't I? He just seemed curious. Bored probably. Same as me. I drove to Hartley, telling myself I was being ridiculous. Hartley is where it shifted. I got there about 40 minutes later than I usually would have. I'd stopped at the all-night garage on the Ring Road, the one I go to every Thursday. That detour isn't on any schedule. I've never mentioned it to anyone. It's just mine. He was already at Hartley when I arrived. I stood at the van for probably 20 seconds before I went in. Told myself it was a different person. The jacket looked the same, but jackets look the same. He was standing near the side stairwell, and when he saw me, he smiled like we were old friends. "You're later than usual." I made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh. "Long night." He asked if I had family waiting up. I said no, and I don't know why I answered. It just came out. He nodded again, that same slow nod. Then he said it must be tough. The hours, being out alone like this. He even offered to help me carry stock trays. I told him I was fine. He watched me work for a while, not in a threatening way, in a patient way, which was somehow worse. Between Hartley and Connaught, I took 3 completely unnecessary turns, left onto Bremner Road, right onto the service access behind the old print warehouse, then doubled back. An old trick I'd read somewhere, trying to see if anyone was following me. It felt stupid. 2:30 in the morning, empty industrial estate, nobody around. I sat for a moment in the Connaught car park and watched the rear view mirror. Nothing. Just orange street light reflecting on wet pavement. I did the 2 Connaught machines fast, kept my head down, and told myself I was done thinking about it. I was almost back at the van when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it ring out. Probably spam. Probably nothing. I got into the van and sat there with the engine off, windows fogging up from my breathing. Then I looked through the glass doors at the security monitor inside the lobby. Visible through the glass doors, the building manager had given me access to the basic CCTV panel once, so I could verify I'd been on site if there were ever stock discrepancies. Just a small screen, 4 feeds. One of the feeds covers the car park. My van was in the frame, and just at the edge of the shot, barely visible in the top corner, there was a car parked along the service road I'd come down. I hadn't seen it when I pulled in. The car was there when I arrived, and the timestamp in the corner of the feed showed it had been there for 19 minutes before I pulled in. I still had 2 stops left on the route. I sat in the van for a long time trying to decide if I was going to finish them.